Hi, welcome everyone. Welcome to our STT Saturday TED Talk with British Council, Jodel, and iTEL. Thank you very much for coming. And there are many registrants for today's. This is very sad that this is our last session, but we might think of other type of activities later on for you all. Yeah, thank you for coming, and it's going to be our last session. At the end of our session today, there will be some announcements, so stay tuned until the last session later. Good morning if you are in the UK or in the European countries. Good afternoon and good evening in some of us in Southeast Asia. Selamat sore untuk Bapak Ibu Guru di Indonesia, and good afternoon for people from Thailand and Vietnam. I saw some people from Vietnam as well. Yeah. Thank you very much. Today we're going to have Jane from the UK and Daniel from Indonesia. So I will introduce you. The first speaker is going to be from Indonesia. I'm going to introduce you, Daniel. Hello, Ms. Daniel. How are you today?
Hi, Hello, everyone. I'm great. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for coming, Daniel. I'm going to introduce him very quickly, and then we start the talk. Yeah, Daniel or Daniel Ariwitya Tama. I'll call him Daniel, so that's easier. He's from Jogja. It's a very nice city in Indonesia. It's very popular after Bali, actually. Bali and Jogja. Yeah, people who likes to travel, they might know the city. He started his career as a teaching in language course in Jogja for around 8 years. Then he is now a faculty member of English Language Education Department at the Universitas Mercu Buana in Yogyakarta. He is also one of the iTELL board in the Program and Development Division. Yeah, he really keen to talk about some issues in education, especially around the area of assessment, online learning, implementation, feedback in teaching, and the use of technology in enhancing the language learning. Yeah, also critical thinking and also other professional development. He is very young, energetic, and we will hear some good explanation today. In this occasion, he is going to talk about formative assessment, very practical in using quizzes, and also going to introduce, if you're not familiar with live worksheet or liveworksheet.com, how to use that synchronously and asynchronously. Without further ado, Mas Daniel, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the introduction, Pak Jati, and I'm so happy today to see everyone here. First of all, I'd like to also thank British Council, Pak Kom, and Jodel, and also Jane as the second presenter of today, and iTELL for taking me here to be in this great event. And I also would like to thank Pak Toar, Mbak Shelia, and Finita in the back screen. Yeah. Okay, so my talk today will be very simple, will be very familiar to everyone here. So allow me to share my screen. Yeah, so I'd like to start my sharing with a short introduction of the topic that I'm going to deliver today. So conducting formative assessment by integrating pedagogy and technology, or pandemiology. So yeah, as Pak Jati just mentioned, I'm coming from this is my campus where I'm teaching. So I've been teaching English for some years, and in English education study program of Mercu Buana University of Jakarta. And this idea brings me here that in this pandemic situation, we often deal with so many things around these, let's say these concepts. Yeah. So in emergency remote teaching or in online learning, we often deal with some problems dealing with how to communicate with students, how to design an instructional model, how to design some content, and also to make it's like accessible learning management system, and how to access our students in the remote area, and eventually how to assess their learning. That's why I'm so interested in this topic, how to conduct formative assessment in this context. So yeah, today's topic will be limited into some parts. I will share to you some tech tools that could be used as media to conduct formative assessment, and how to create some techniques to assess students' learning, and how to embed pedagogy into learning. Okay, so I'd like to greet all the participants in this event. Yeah, maybe you are coming from Indonesia, not only in Java, but also I saw somebody coming from Ambon, from Kalimantan, from Sumatra, and so on. So I would like to ask you, what comes to your mind when you hear the word assessment? Just type your answer on the chat box. Okay. So evaluation, a test, a grade, score, leaderboard. Wow, Pak Marwan Batubara, leaderboard. And then Bu Yuni said, oh, she is from Ambon. Okay, hello, Bu Yuni from Ambon. Test, advice, evaluation, scoring. Wow, so many of you said that assessment deals with test, yeah, measurement as well, and rubric. Wow, so I got lots of insights from all the participants today. And yeah, learning, it's unstoppable. Okay, I know that you probably are familiar with what assessment is. And my second question would be, okay, what would you do or what technology do you usually use to assess your students' performance? Can somebody mention? Okay, quizzes. Wow. So you are familiar with quizzes, analyst. This is a new term for me. Google Form, Google Classroom. Okay, Kahoot. I love that one. Quizzes. Wow. Okay. I can see that lots of you here in this webinar told me that you are familiar with quizzes and so on. Okay. All right. So maybe to get a clearer view, I need to share my screen into presentation form. 1 second. Thank you, Pak Jati, for giving me a reminder. Let's notice that I haven't turned on my presentation page. I hope it is now.
Hi, Daniel. So sorry to interrupt, but we've had a request for you to speak a little bit louder, if that's okay.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Is it okay now?
Yeah, I think that's a lot better. Yeah, you were a little bit quiet there. And also, if you wanted to present in full screen mode in Canva, if you'd like to.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Looking well. All right. So thank you too for reminding. Okay, so near part, I'd like to continue again. Telegram, Paul, Tasmos. Okay, so Houdini said Google Classroom, and so on and so forth. Okay, thank you very much once again. Some of you also mentioned here live worksheet, the thing that I'm going to present maybe today. Kami, yeah, Kami is actually an add-on from Chrome, if I'm not mistaken, yeah. Okay, and some more ideas that I cannot mention one by one. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay, so yeah, we need to have a look a little bit on that actually assessment could be divided into some terms and some views, some function. Yeah, we have formative assessment, which is a measurement, an evaluation, which is not usually created because it is not used to decide whether students will pass or fail a certain learning process. Yeah. The purpose is, of course, to give us feedback as a teacher, so we can improve our way of delivering the materials, and also to motivate them, to give them feedback. We sometimes misunderstand the concept of formative assessment, that everything should be in the form of tests, which is actually not okay. On the other hand, summative assessment is the one that we can use to determine whether students should go to the next level or should stay, all right? And I'm into the formative assessment today because I think only through formative assessment we can get students into better state of learning. So we can play with so many strategies and techniques that probably I can introduce to you today. So based on Hattie and Timberlake, I'm really in love with their statements that we need to find more information about their learning and also their understanding. And also feedback here is very crucial in this part of learning. Yeah. So talking about formative assessment and also summative assessment, we need to have a look at the validity. Yeah, these are some principles that we need to have a look at when we are conducting assessment. So validity talks about that we need to be sure what aspects to be assessed. And reliability, we need to determine to make sure the accuracy of the results of our assessment. And impact, there should be some more impacts to talk about. I mean, one of the impact which we can expect is that their motivation will get better after we give them assessment. And practicality, we need to find tools, ways, and strategies which are accessible and practical. Okay, and hopefully today's tools will be so much practical for students in my area or in your area as well. And ladies and gentlemen, we can we actually can do some strategies that I just present here for our practice, or our practice in conducting formative assessment in class. Discussion. So once again, the takeaways key is that we should not always conduct assessment in the form of test. Yeah, in order to measure the understanding, we can ask them to discuss particular topic. We can give them exit cards. We can have them work on a sort of portfolio. And today we will do a quiz, yeah, which is a good way to measure their understanding. And then idea spinner, you can use wheels of names. We can ask them to predict, to explain, to summarize and evaluate. We can ask them to make one sentence summary. Like maybe after today's talk, you can give me a short summary of my talk, and then tic-tac-toe, 4 corners, to let them state their, their understanding level, whether they are in the dirt road, in a paved road, or in the highway that they are about to be an independent learner, or the interstate that they completely understand all the concept, or Likert scale, or gallery walk. Okay, and yeah, talking about feedback, after giving them the formative assessment, after giving them these all strategies or one of the strategies, we need to give them a timely feedback so that they would know what to do in order to improve their performance. And today, this could be one of the situations that we are facing. Yeah? So in the day of pandemic, we no longer need papers. What we now rely on is the virtual communication like this, and we barely need paper at all. So the things that the papers that we used to give to our students to assess their learning, we will just leave them, untouched in our table. Okay, so this turns out another problem for us. So is there any way we can do to change a traditional worksheet into a more interactive one? So should we waste them away, or can we just make use of them and to make them into more productive and also interactive, worksheet? Then I'll show you one of the alternative way that we can use to do that. So let me give you one example of worksheet that we normally use in the old days before the pandemic came. Yeah. Let's consider that this is a printed paper that is in our table, or this on our table, or which is still kept sealed in our laptop. So what could we do to make them more interesting, and can we just reuse them in this situation? The answer could be, of course, yes. So probably you cannot wait to see how to make it into more interactive. So I'd like to show you. Okay. Right. So this is exactly the same worksheet that I just showed to you, but now it looks different. It looks totally different. Okay. Let's imagine that I just scanned the worksheet and now it turned out to be a file like this. And the good news is we can give this to our students, okay, and they can write down the answer directly into this page. For example, after reading this short dialogue, then there is a comprehension question to measure the understanding. Again, the focus of today's activity is not to assess, not for summative assessment, but this is a formative assessment to measure their understanding. All right, so let's say that the answer is, he is driving. Right, and again, I can, they can still fill in the gaps. It's 10 minutes. Right, and can somebody tell me what picture it is? Okay, you can write your answer on the chat box if you want to. Yeah, you're right. This is flyover, and this is right. thank you for giving me some hand. And they can also work on this kind of task. Yeah, who give the direction? Officer. Circle. Apart from that, they can still work on this kind of task. Yeah, matching. So it should be to left and then turn right, and so on. And we also they also can we also can adjust this kind of boring thing into more sophisticated stuff like this. We can drag it, okay, which is not able to do it, of course, but through live worksheets we can do it perfectly. Okay. And even we can also sorry, I need to stop share for a while because I need to turn on the sound. I hope that you can still okay, is it clear? Can you hear the voice, everyone?
We can't hear the voice, but if you click on
no.
the more option at the top of the screen and click share computer sound, we should be able to hear it from there, I think.
I think I did that already. Share sound. Okay. So, well, actually, there is a sound here. Bakery, which is true. And then he said library, which is false. And yeah. And also, we can record our voice in order to answer a question like this. Okay, so we can see where the movie theater is here. Movie theater from the bookstore. Okay, so this is the opposite. So it can record our voice perfectly, right? And we can embed a YouTube link and also MP3 and also fill in the gaps things. Okay. So probably you would ask me a question, how we could do that? This is actually very easy. So my suggestion for you is please don't burn your old papers, your old worksheets, just collect them again, scan them, and hopefully you can reuse them to save our planet as well. Okay, once you are signing and you are making an account on this, then you would be asked to upload your file here. So, oh, sorry, I just, okay. Don't forget to make your file into PDF and then upload it. For the better performance, I would recommend you to work on Chrome. So this application would work so well, especially in the recording our voice in Chrome. Okay. There are some magical tips that we can do. For example, for fill in the gaps, then all you can do is easy. Just put a pointer anywhere and then write down the answer. For example, try fill. And then for a question like, for example, this is the same question type, fill in the gaps. Okay, let's say we have a multiple choice. So we need to take a look at every answer. Then we can type select. If this is a wrong answer, say no. And again, because this is not the answer, type select and no, without space. And for the right answer, you could say type select and type yes. Okay. Whenever you have done a particular step, then you can take a look at how it looks like this. Okay, for example, does it work? He is driving a car. Sorry. Oops. That is somehow hidden it. See. Okay, and then yeah, the link works perfectly and obviously. Okay. So when we later when we type a wrong answer, it will show a red color. Okay. Okay. So we shall go on with the editing process. I will just continue with a bit quickly. So what about for the matching? It's really easy. Just cover the whole image using your pointer and type join, type 1. Since the answer is turn left, then we should type the same keyword, join, exactly the same 1. So later, you can just make a line between. And what about drag and drop? Okay, so for this one, we need to for example, this is drop and let's check it out. Let's see if this can be so. All right, so it fits each other. Okay, and then what about the this one? Right, this is the good news. Let me tell you the secret later. So listen, this is, we need to hear a word which represents this picture correctly. We need to wait for a moment until we have a dialog box appears, which will tell us in which language later the sound will come out. Need to check how much time is left. Oh.
Your time is almost up, Mas.
Okay, that's okay. So again, let's look again on the other word. Nah, so I'm going to use US English for example, then save it, and we need to check if the link works well. Okay, bakery, right. And what about this one? So give me a moment to finish this. Speak, and then I need to say right. It takes some time, I guess. Then this will use the same principle like in the fill in the gaps. So what if we try to fill in all the things, and how can we get the feedback? Right, so let's check together. Oops. All right, we can just leave it for a moment because the dialog box just appeared. He is driving and So, okay, let's say whenever we have done all the process, then all we need to do is to hit finish button. Okay, and there will be a score coming in on the top of the page, right? And by doing so, we can later have a look at our students' progress, and they will come to us through this link. They can register as students, and we can see how many answers they got right and how many are incorrectly answered. And then after that, we can give them general feedback and to to improve our performance in teaching. So we would know which materials are not yet covered. And yeah, I think the point here is, again, we can make use of our old and boring paper into more interactive unit of quizzes. So like Pak Jati just mentioned, my time just up. So again, if you need to ask me more, then you can contact me through iTELL, and I'll see you again later in the Q&A session. Thank you, Pak Jati. I hope it's
okay. Thank you, Mas Daniel, for the nice presentation. Very interesting. There are some questions from the participants. One of the question I think it's worth answering right now. One is livesheet.com can easily access from a phone?
Yes, Pak Jati, indeed. It is
okay.
accessible in any devices.
Yeah, because the students now, they more on a phone rather than a laptop. Another question here, how do we use the live worksheet as just presented, and how to design the questions? Do we have to design the question, or can we just scan the question from the used worksheet?
Yeah, first of all, we need to type it in a Microsoft Word, like the old days, in a traditional way. And then we do not need to perform any types of questions like I did, because it was just an example. We can just limit the types of questions, maybe multiple choices or the fill in the gaps one, and so on. Because the main function here is to get to know how far they understand our explanation, not a test at all.
Okay, there are some more questions we can discuss later on, but just one more. When you use a live worksheet and the student actually can see the result directly, is it possible to lock the answer key so that the student will not see the result? Only the teacher can see the result.
Yeah. So
is it possible?
It is very possible, and we can even limit their attempts in working on the taskbar.
Okay, thank you very much. There are some more questions, and then we can discuss it later at the end after Jane's presentation.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Daniel. I would like to invite Joe to come on the stage. Joe, I think it's your show right now. Can you introduce Jane? And then we do a discussion and wrap up later. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Pak Jati. Thank you to Daniel as well for that really interesting presentation around live worksheets. We had lots and lots of questions in the chat, but we'll try to bridge some of those questions a little bit later on. But it comes to the moment now for me to introduce the amazing Jane Basnet. What a great way to finish the 10th session as part of our Saturday Tech Talk. I know it's a great shame that we're all coming to an end, but hopefully we'll be able to do something in the future together. That would be amazing. So I've known Jane for a number of years now. She's a real inspiration to me. She's head of languages at Downhouse School in the south of England. She's also in charge of the e-learning strategy, I think I'm right in saying, at the school as well. So I'm sure she's been incredibly busy during the pandemic so far. And she also has a master's in digital technologies and languages. So there's enough gushing for you, Jane. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. And over to Jane to talk to us about assessment for learning for the next 20 minutes. Over to you, Jane.
Thank you so much, Joe, for that very, very kind introduction. And also thank you to iTELL and the British Council for inviting me to be here today. It's an absolute honour and I'm delighted to be here at the last of these 10 tech talks, and I've dipped into a few of them and they're amazing. So hopefully I'm not going to let you down. So I'm going to crack on straight away and just share my screen and my PowerPoint. Okay, so just move that there. Okay, so I'll go to the full presentation mode so that you can see it all. Hopefully, just need to move that out of the way. Okay, so we want to see the full screen, I think would be better. There we go. All right, so as Joe said, I've been teaching for 26 years and I'm head of modern languages and director of digital learning at Downhouse School. And if you wanted to catch me on Twitter, where I share a lot of ideas and also ask people for lots of help, you can find me on @BasnetJ, and the MFL Twitterati community are fantastic at helping each other. So what I'm going to do today is look at assessment. And, you know, I noticed in the chat, actually in the question, somebody asked about assessment for learning and assessment of learning. And so hopefully my little presentation will clarify some of that. I'm going to focus on assessment for learning, and I'm going to look at the variety of tools that I've used before the pandemic, during the pandemic, and I use now, even though the pandemic is behind us, almost, hopefully. I don't know what word to use there. So we've got our 4 types of assessment. Well, we've got formative assessment, which helps us to learn as teachers, you know, where our students are, and it also helps our students to understand where they are. And we can have low stakes assessment, and that's what I think formative can be, because it's all about the learning. And we have summative assessment, which would happen perhaps at the end of a unit or at the end of their school career or a student's career learning. So I'm focusing on formative assessment and the types of assessment that I can do and the types that I have done to help my students learn and progress. And that includes, as I say, my students learning for themselves and what I can learn from the assessments they do to help me with my planning. So let me start with a brief outline of my teaching situation at the start of the pandemic. At Downhouse, we were very lucky because we were set up already with Teams and Microsoft Class Notebook before the pandemic struck. And I was using a lot of tools and making the most of everything available. So we used Class Notebook, and these were embedded with the tools that we needed to peer assess and to self-assess and for me to assess. So I'm going to show you how I used those tools and how effective I found it for self-assessment, peer assessment, and of course, teacher assessment. So here's a little kind of overview, but I'm going to come out of this now and actually show you a few. I hope I'm going to come out of this if I can press escape. There we go. So I don't know if you can see my screen here. This is a class notebook. This is actually my class notebook. But what I've done is I've copied over some pages from the students, and hopefully you can see that. So what I've got here is the collaboration space. And in the collaboration space, students can peer assess each other's work. So what we've got here is a girl's work, a student's work. And on the other side, I have here, and these are made up names, I have here some guidelines. So this is Lucy's essay, for example, and Ella is going to give the feedback, and she will, therefore they can assess each other, and I can always see what's going on. This for me is kind of low stakes. It allows me to evaluate learning, to see how my students are doing, and it allows my students to assess each other and learn from that process as well. So other things that we've done is another example here. So I would give students, access to another student's work, and they would assess it and they would provide some lovely feedback. And you can see this student here has provided lots of fantastic words that could have been used in another student's essay, for example. Now, if you don't have access to Class Notebook, that is not a problem, because Class Notebook is OneNote, basically. You can do similar collaboration and assessment, for example, in PowerPoint, and I do that a lot of times. And you can see here on the left-hand side each slide belongs to a different pupil, and what they do is they work on these slides, and I can assess their work as they are going on. And I can provide, as you can see here on the right, I can provide some guidelines. I can ask other students to work and read their friends' work. So that's what's happened here. So a student here has assessed another student's work. And for me, it's an effective example of low stakes peer assessment. If you can't have access to PowerPoint, there's always Padlet, which I'm sure you must have met over the course of these tech talks. Padlet can give you immediate feedback on your students' learning. You can assess how they're doing straight away. I've asked a few questions. You can see in the you can see at the top here, how do you spell environment in French? Put a list of vocab. This was really for me to see in a live kind of way where my students' learning was. And that would inform me on what my next steps would be. And you can see there are no names here, but they could add names if they wanted to, and then I would know who's doing what and how they are progressing. So if we go back now to my little presentation, so in display, hopefully it's going to display this the right way. Okay, so those are examples. Now here I have got a variety of tools. This was like my stream of consciousness. I just thought, which tools have I used during lockdown, post-lockdown? And some of these tools I can use. I find it fantastic. I can use when I have some students who are at home working online and some students in front of me in the classroom, and I do have that situation quite a few times. Now, most of the tools you see here are free, and up to a certain level are free. Some of them cost a little bit of money. So this one here at the bottom, I don't know if you can see, this is language down at the bottom. That one is, you do have to pay for it, but it's definitely worth it. And if you can persuade your budget holder to fork out some cash, I would really keep nagging them for it. During lockdown, obviously, lots of these tools became available for free, and and even now they offer some kind of freebies, or they say, join now and we'll give you a free, we'll give you a cheaper subscription. So just to go back to the low stakes thing, I keep mentioning low stakes and I want to unpack it a little. The point of low stakes for me is that students get the chance to practice. So completing some low stakes activities during a lesson, whether at the start, the middle or the end, there's no difference. It means that I can give my students the opportunity to assess their learning for themselves. And the kind of activities I mean could be testing out in Quizlet or in quizzes or completing a learning apps activity, anything that a student can practice again and again, and where it doesn't matter if I see their results or not. That is what, for me, formative assessment's all about, and low stakes assessment. It's for the students to be aware of their own success and discover where they have gaps. Now, this quote comes from Daniel Willingham, and Why Don't Students Like School? It's a brilliant book. And, I'll read it out for you. It's virtually impossible to become proficient at a mental task without extended practice. So activities such as the ones I've mentioned are fun and engaging and produce an emotional response. So as Willingham had said, things that create an emotional reaction will be better remembered. So drilling is important, but we mustn't drill to kill, we have to drill and keep that motivation going. So that's why the activities that I've mentioned and we're going to look at are essential in the learning process, because they provide excellent low stakes assessment opportunities. So let's look at some of these now. I'm going to look today at a few of the ones that I've got on here. So if I go back to my online. So first of all, learning apps. I don't know if you know learning apps. It's low stakes. It's all about the learning. I don't get my students to sign up, but they can. You could get them to do that. They complete the exercise as many times as they like. So look at this. It's a really simple exercise here. They just need to decide, where is this verb? What tense is this verb? So I'm just going to really quickly do a few. It doesn't really matter. And yep, I'm going to go there. And then this is the student working on their own. And they click. Oh, they can immediately see where they have gone wrong, and they can engage with that, and they can address any issues they have. They can ask me questions, and then they can set everything right. So where am I? So let's try again. Have I done well? Oh, I'm still struggling here. I am actually struggling. My brain's not functioning. There we are. Finally, I think I've got there. Excuse me. So Learning Apps has a number of different types of tools, which I find that's what I really like about it, is the flexibility. Because one of the things I think about learning, excuse me, and doing these drill things is I have to keep in mind I don't want to kill the motivation. I want to encourage it. So variety is the spice of life. And what's fantastic about Learning Apps is the variety of apps that are available. So if I wanted to create an app, there's so many different types of activities that that my students can do. And what I should also add is there's a collection. Here we go, all different subjects, all different languages, French, Italian, German. The other day, for example, I wanted to do something on uniforme scolaire. So I just Googled it. I just put a search in my Learning Apps, which is free. And this came up here, mon uniforme scolaire. I opened it up and actually it was really useful, and I adapted it for myself. I copied it and adapted it for myself. So that's Learning Apps. Definitely want to explore. So my next one is Textivate. I don't know if you know Textivate. Now, Textivate, unlike Learning Apps, Textivate does cost money, but it's very cheap. I've bought a subscription for my department. I have a really big department, and I don't want to get the numbers wrong, but I think it's, I don't think it's more than like £20 a head for the year, and that's available then for all your students. It's brilliant. It has a variety of activities. So if I just click Textivate here, it will open up all sorts of different activities where they can assess themselves. I don't like that one. I'm going to do a different one. Let's try this one. So here we go. This is a really motivational one, the one that students love. So it's like the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire game. Je suis ici depuis 3 ans. There we go. I've already won 500, whatever that is, dollars maybe. And it's really motivational, and they love it. And they don't have to share their responses with me. It's totally about them learning. On the other hand, I can set it up. So that I can see their work. So, and I do that. I have classes, and I assign links. I assign things for them to do. And you can see here where it says sequence. If I click on it, it's a sequence of activities. I can decide the activities they do, but I can also look at my students and I can see how well they have done. So although it's low stakes and they're learning, and I don't really mind about the marks, I can see how much they've engaged and the effort they've put in and how many activities they did and how well they did. So it does provide me with some excellent feedback. If we are talking about totally low stakes, so if I just close that, hopefully I can close that. So I've lost my mouse. And here we go. If we look here, do we know about Languages Online? What an amazing resource that is. And I think we always overlook it. But if you want to give your students an opportunity to assess their learning, then you could go, you can't go far wrong with this. It's so simple. And I know the exercise I've chosen here is really simple, but it has more complicated exercises. They're already there. You can't input exercises in Languages Online. It's all there for you. So you have to choose what they've got. Whereas Textivate that I've shown you, Padlet, Learning Apps, you input the information. You input what you want. And simply, this exercise is really simple, but this has grammar exercises and more complicated reading activities. And when you've finished, when the student has finished, they click verify, they can see their score, they can see they've got some mistakes, and they have to try again. So I did want to show you Learning Apps, Languages Online, because it's so simple. French, German, Spanish, Italian. So maybe it's only if you're doing those languages. So perhaps not brilliantly helpful for you, but I don't know. It's definitely one to consider. So let's look now at Quizlet. I'm guessing lots of people know about Quizlet. There are so many different activities that can be undertaken. So this is the first page of a Quizlet, and
I think Jane got disconnected somehow. It's frozen. Just wait a second. She might coming back in. I think Jane got a slightly problem with the connection. Just stay tuned, everyone. We wait. Technical problem, not on your Zoom or your connection, but it's more on Jane's connection, I suppose. Joe, are you there? Or are you?
I am indeed. I think you're exactly right. I think Jane has an issue with her internet connection. Thank you so much, everyone, for your questions so far. Hopefully, Jane will join us very soon. Please hang tight while we're waiting for Jane to join us again. This is the great thing about live presentations. You never know if the internet's going to go down, but I think we've been pretty lucky so far. But let's wait and see if Jane can join us again. So just hang tight, everyone.
Yeah, Jane has got a very interesting tools to share with us. Learning app.
Absolutely.
This is very popular around here as well.
Fantastic. So feel free to carry on writing questions in the chat. We've been collecting questions as per normal, and I'm sure Jane will be coming back to us. She's an amazing person to put questions to, and yeah, fingers crossed she'll be able to join us very soon. I'll just send her a direct message, I think, and see if we can see what's going on.
Yeah. Probably the weather, or probably other things.
Yeah, so Jane's just sent me a message. She's restarting her computer. She's got the famous blue screen.
Okay.
But it's okay. She's saying it's now restarting, so she'll be with us in a minute or two. So please hang fire, and we'll be fine. And then Jane will join us again. So don't worry. And then when I get the video, I'll just edit this bit out, and you'll never know that we had this issues. So it's fine. So thank you ever so much, everyone, for your patience. She'll be joining us in the next minute or so, I'm sure.
Yeah, issue of the internet connection is not only in Indonesia, it's everywhere now around the globe. It's become the most necessary things that we need. Network becomes so important.
Absolutely. All right, I'll just reply to Jane quickly, and yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, take your time, Joe. No need to worry. Yeah, it's not your connection, Pak Ali Fandi Naufal. It's more on our side. So just stay, and we're coming back for sure. Yeah, connecting the audio. Thank you very much.
Welcome back, Jane. Thank you so much.
Welcome back, Jane.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. We can edit it out. So that's fine. So if you want to go back to the page you were on, and then it'll be a nice seamless edit. I'll do a lovely transition, and it'll be fine.
It just
done.
crashed right in the middle of it.
It's all good.
That's never happened to me before, and I apologise profusely to everybody.
Fine. Don't worry.
So I believe I was on this page.
I'll mute myself and my video, and then if you go back to you're on Quizlet. That's right. Perfect. No problem.
Okay, so
about
Quizlet.
another 5 minutes, I think, if that's okay. About another 5 minutes.
That's absolutely fine. So Quizlet, here we go. Wanted to show you Quizlet because the variety of tests. Firstly, students, when they're learning, they can start simply with a flashcard, really simple. Then I encourage them to go to Learn, which often will come up with. You can see that I've studied this set again. It tells me that I've reached my goal. I'm going to study again. Learn comes up with multiple choice, and then as you go through Learn, it gives you the opportunity to type out the answers, which I think is a fantastic, the best way to learn, the best way for students to learn. Then there's also Write, where they will type it out, and what I really like about Write is you can say, well, I don't know how to do it. Don't know, and it will give you the answer, and it will ask you to copy the answer. I think that's a very useful tool for students, you know, when they're assessing their own learning. You can also go with the sound option, so they'll hear it and then they will write it out. I think probably there as well, you maybe get the option for don't know. Let's have a quick look. It's simple. Type what you hear. Now, I haven't shared computer sound, but you know, I would click that and then I would type what I heard. Finally, what I encourage my students to do is to test out. Testing out is such a useful way for them to get immediate satisfaction. I'm going to set myself 4 questions, 4 out of 16, and actually I could do written. I could ask them to do writing tests, matching tests. Now, again, I don't see these results. I could get them to join and I could see them, but I don't, because this is all about that low stakes assessment. So I'm going to go with a quick 4-question true false test, see how I do. Yeah, that's true. And then here we go. Since last year, that's false. If I can, that's false. And I discovered that's true. Let's check my answers. Let's see, it's giving me my answers. Okay, I just think, look at that. I got 100%. Imagine I was doing a 20-question test and I get 100%. It's just really good. And often I don't ask for those results, but often my students tell me their results. And I get that because they're excited. And if you have Quizlet Plus, and I managed to get mine the other day for £3.99, I think it must have been what they call Black Friday. But for the whole year, I managed to get Quizlet Plus. It's adaptive. It uses algorithms to customize the questions posed on students' responses. So look out for those great offers. I think it's a good option. All right, so moving on. I should not go without saying, do have a go at Quizlet Live. Quizlet Live is such, I don't know if you've ever done it, but it's you then can get immediate feedback about your class's response or individual's response, because when they play Quizlet Live in class, it's ever so much fun, high octane, students love it, and they get their feedback as well from that, and you get feedback about where they're going wrong and what else. Now, I was going to look at quizzes, but I'm going to move on actually to Microsoft Forms, because I believe I probably only got a minute or 2 left. So Microsoft Forms, hopefully we're going to be able to enter. I love Microsoft Forms, and I can use it summatively, and I have used it summatively, and I can use it formatively. So if you look here, Ma famille et mes amis, this little quiz here, you can set multiple choice. You can set this, I really like, they need to put it in the right order, which I think is very useful. You can apply branching, so that if they select the wrong answer, if they select a particular answer, they could go to another area, to another set of questions, and you would do that more in forms than in the quiz. But here we have another one where the questions are, they have to put the sentence in the right order. You can have more open-ended, and it doesn't, you know, that you can still have, I've provided help in this question here, write the sentences in full. So I've got a sentence, it's something we've been learning, and you can, if I click out of there, you can see I put the first letters and then they would type their answer in there. And I can set it up so that when they do it, they get the answers again at the end straight away. Or I can set it up, if I wanted it to be more summative, I could set it up so that only I see the answers. But I like to set it up so that they can see the answers. And then for me, I get the fantastic data here. If we look, you can see here, I can review their answers and I get an overview. How am my class doing? So look, they all got that sentence. And I got a whole variety of different answers here, and only one of them was right. Now I can also review the answers I can review questions on a one-by-one individual basis. It's taken me out. Okay, fine. Well, I don't know if I've got any more time, so I'm going to have a quick, I'll just finish off because I was going to look at quizzes, and it's a fantastic tool. Well, one of the things I like about quizzes is that you can use it in a class with as a lesson. You can view a lesson. You can set questions up. So if I quickly click preview, if I go back to my library, so I'm just going to show you, this is my last thing. If I show you, so I've done this with a pretend class, the futur simple. This was a live lesson and I can preview it. I should be able to preview it. There we go. So it comes up, and this would be, it comes up in class. I can ask these questions. So there is sound, but that doesn't matter if you hear that or not. So students sign in, they get these questions, they answer these questions, and I see immediately in my class who has got what answer. So I'm going to pause that there. You don't need to see more. But what I will show you is the kind of feedback that I get. So obviously I get the immediate feedback, but if I do if we have a look at the report from that test, I can see how long a student spent on a particular activity. I can see there was 70% accuracy. On this, because it's a lesson, I can't assign it as practice. But for example, yesterday I did this with a class and they only got 54%, and I could assign it as practice. And quizzes allows you to assign it as many times as you want, an unlimited amount. Or what I like to do is say, you need to do this quiz 3 times. And the reason I think that is very helpful is because then they're repeating and repeating, and we help to embed knowledge. If I quickly show you the fantastic data that you get. I was just showing you this is the data I got from the live lesson. So these are my made up class. So Georgie here got 8 out of 8. And then I can see that some people got 2 wrong, 3 wrong. I can see their score. I can see the questions. So I get a breakdown of the questions. I can see where they did really well. And the other lovely thing about live lessons or with quizzes is the ability to write their answers, which I think is a very useful tool. The one final thing about the live lesson is you can interrupt your live lesson and you can put a whiteboard on there and you can talk through any misconceptions that your students have. And I think that's one of the benefits of a low stakes quiz, is that it's all about the learning and it's all about providing instant feedback and help. So I think that sums up. I've probably maybe gone over my time, but that finishes. I think I should finish there.
Amazing, Jane. That was absolutely fabulous. Thank you so much. Really, really interesting set of practical ways in which you can promote formative assessment, assessment for learning ideas. We've had loads and loads and loads of questions in the chat. So we'll try our best to go through some of these now, and then we'll open it up to Pagjati and to Daniel as well. That was wonderful. Okay, so the first question, which we've had a few times in our Saturday Tech Talks, in relation to big classes. Now, I appreciate that you're teaching classes of, I would imagine, 25 to 30 students, but the question is, can we use PowerPoint in the way that you showed with the template and the collaborative PowerPoint? Can we use that in, say, a big class, 40 people plus? What advice would you give on that? Do you think it would be too labour intensive to do it in that way, or would you suggest if teachers here are working with big classes, do you think that sort of collaborative PowerPoint would work in the same way?
I think it would. You have a class of 40. That means you'd need to be looking at 20 students, and you can go into the view with collaboration with PowerPoint where you can see all the slides on one page. So then you would it's very helpful because you get a little icon, so you can see each student will have a little icon, and so you'll be able to see that there are 2 students per page. So I do think it could work, and of course you could change it slightly and have 3 students collaborating, and then you would have fewer slides to look at.
Yeah, that's a great response. Yeah, thank you. That's lovely. Brilliant. Another great question as well. You were talking about low stakes testing and high stakes testing. The question is, can we combine low stakes and high stakes testing together? Well, or do you think they're totally separate?
It's really interesting because what high stakes, what is the, a summative assessment is the only really summative assessment that students do in my country are their GCSEs and their A levels. Because even if they're doing an end of year exam or an end of unit test, it is summative, but it's always going to be formative because they're always going to learn from it. So whilst they won't get that immediate feedback, they will get feedback, a week later once the marking's been done. So you can combine them, I say, yes.
Yeah. Lovely. We'll do one more question. We'll do a more general. Actually, that would be good for everyone. Let's have a quick look. Right. Okay. This is a nice one, I think. How can we start peer? How can we have peer assessment in a traditional class where the students are mostly passive? What would you say to that one?
They're mostly passive. Well, I would set them little challenges. They have to find certain mistakes, or they have to find 5 errors, or they have to provide 3 ways that their friend can improve their work. That's how I would provide that motivational, there's motivational goals.
Fantastic. And then another sort of similar question, if it's okay, and then I will bring in Daniel and Pagjati. How can formative assessment be applied in classroom activities and not just in online learning? But would you say that what you've shown us, you could you have either done in a remote teaching context, a hybrid teaching context, or a totally face-to-face context? Does it work in all contexts, all the sorts of different ideas, or do they particularly lend themselves to online learning, would you say?
Oh, no. So those things, I think I said at the beginning, that's how I've been teaching since before the pandemic.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
During it and after. I use all of those things all the time. And during lockdown, there was this amazing tool called Spiral Education, which is now gone. But quizzes is the next best thing, I think. And I use it. I use these things all the time. Yeah.
That's lovely. Fantastic, lovely. So we're now love to see Daniel and Pagjati join us in the session, and we've got lots of questions. I don't know. Obviously, we're running over slightly, but that's not a problem. Thank you ever so much, everyone, for your question. Let's do a more general question. Let's if I ask Daniel first, if that's okay. So, how can these tools be used to maximum effect to help both teacher and student learning? So in a way, maybe we've talked about this already, but Daniel, what would you say to that? How can they be used to the maximum effect?
Yeah, I think there will be no perfect tool yet, Joe. I found some drawbacks and also maybe some incomplete features in this platform. But for me, this platform is really light. Okay, it can be accessed through different devices. And what else? I guess the practicality is everything here. So regarding the students which might have problems with internet signal and so on. So I guess here I focus on the practicality, not into the completeness of the features yet. So that's what is coming to my mind so far.
That's fantastic. So if I put the question to you, Jane, as well, how can we maximize learning, or are there any options that you'd like to see that you can't see in any of the tools that we've looked at so far?
Yes. Well, I mentioned Spiral Education. I would love a tool that I could just say, I'm teaching my class, no technology, I'm just teaching them, and I then want to assess where they are right away and collect some data. And I just want to ask the question. I just want to verbally ask the question, and then they all write their answer, and it all appears in one place, and then I can share it on the screen, and perhaps I could focus on one person's answer and say, okay, everybody, why is this, a good answer, or how can we improve this answer? And I don't think quizzes is the closest, but it doesn't have that option to say, I just want to do a test off the cuff, just like that. That's what we need.
Definitely, and I think one of the really nice things about Spiral with the mini flashcard or the mini whiteboard options was the fact that the students could change their answer. The teacher could give them a prompt, and the students could change their answer. A little bit like carousel learning. I know you haven't talked about carousel learning. Could you give us a quick snapshot of what carousel learning has done? Because I would imagine that maybe a lot of people here haven't heard of that one. Is that okay?
Yeah. Carousel Learn is free up to a certain point again, so everybody can use it. You basically set questions and your students answer them. They can be a bit more open-ended. You put in a model answer, if you like, and then students correct it. They have plenty of time to revise it first. They can revise it as many times as they want, and then they kind of test out. And when they test out, they then get their feedback, and they can decide whether they've got the answer right or wrong. They can look at the answer and they can look at what they've put and say, oh yeah, I was pretty close there, so that's right. So it actually enforces them to engage in the response and to see where they've gone right or wrong, because often students just look at the percentage, which is not helpful.
Yeah, definitely. And that's all based on cognitive science and this idea of, retrieval practice and that sort of push and pull between the working memory and the long-term memory. And which we're told is exactly what we should be doing. I'd also love to give Jane a big plug for her blog, which is whatjanelearntnext.blogspot.com. I'd really encourage everyone to have a look at Jane's blog, because it's a lovely example of a purposeful use of educational technology, but with an evidence-based approach as well, which is something very much in the UK at the moment is flavour of the moment, I would say. So do check out Jane's blog as well. Let's have another look at some other questions. Let's have a quick look. We've had some questions around speaking, actually, which I think was really interesting. So a lot of the ideas we've looked at have been around sort of receptive reading skills. One question, for example, could you please share your experience in using technology to assess students' speaking performance? Do you find more challenges in assessing speaking rather than grammar, reading, or other skills? Daniel, can I come to you with this one? How do you assess your students for speaking in a assessment for learning context?
Okay, so I normally use some features from Chrome. You can try smalltalk.me. That is very useful, and you can just explore that. It got so many tasks to do. We can record our voice. We can do something like a presentation, and it can rate our speaking skill. It's very useful. You can consider also Elsa Speak and some I forgot to name it, but these two tools are very helpful. But if you are focusing on chunks and pronunciation, maybe we can challenge our students to have something like text to speech, so and record their speech on their phone through screen recorder. So I've been using that too for pronunciation class. So you can give it a try.
Lovely. So just to clarify, it was smalltalk.me. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's the website? Okay, I've not heard of that one. I'll have to check it out. Brilliant. Okay. Jane, how do you assess your students for their speaking in an assessment for learning context?
A couple of ways. So Flipgrid is a really fantastic tool, because you can set speaking. You set speaking challenge, and you can actually set that and provide the guidelines and the marking guidelines that you want, and then each individual student will record their response, and you can listen to that response. All of you can listen. I can listen to all of them and provide feedback. I can provide oral feedback, or I can provide written feedback. So Flipgrid is one way. This is language. Yes, that does cost, but it's got an awful lot on it that is useful, not just speaking assessment. It's got listening, it's got grammar, but with to focus on the speaking, it's got an amazing tool now where you can set a question, your students can respond. You can say to them, you've only got a minute to respond or 30 seconds, and you can listen to each student. So those are really good ways. But as I say, that one does cost, but it's worth it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That's lovely. We could go on and on with questions, but I am aware of the time. So maybe, Pagjati, do you want to take us on to the next part of the webinar? Is that okay? Thank you so much to Daniel and to Jane for your insights and sharing all your brilliant ideas around assessment for learning. I think you've given the audience lots and lots of food for thought and lots of things to check out and explore, which is what this is all about on the 10th Saturday Tech Talk. Brilliant. Over to you, Pagjati.
Okay, thank you very much, Joe. Thank you very much, Jane, and thank you very much, Daniel. This is our last STT actually, but we are planning, talking already to what's the plan. So thank you very much. Looking forward for the next collaboration, and thanks everyone. And there are some very important announcement I want to make. For sure, exit ticket. Take a snapshot on this. This is your exit ticket. Then you will get your e-certificate. Yeah, so go to bit.ly/STT10 minus exit, the E with a capital. Yeah, then you will get the exit ticket there and the certificate. Vinita already brought that in the chat box. Yeah. So thank you very much again and there are some announcement for recap of our what we have done from series 1 until series 10. Yeah, we're going to do some review on that. Yeah, from October to March. So we're going to do a small recap, session 1 until 9. Okay, thank you very much. So that's a recap actually. Yeah, stay tuned everyone. Okay, that was the recap. So we got 9 sessions already. Now, this is going to come to the end, but I got a very important announcements. We want to know the impact of our series from 1 until 10 in your teaching practice. So I need some input on that. Then how to do that? Finn, can you move to the next slide for the, yeah, we need your help to know the impact of our webinar series. Then in your teaching practice, can you put next? So take a picture of this. We need your help. bit.ly/stt-quiz. There is a form that you have to fill in, a little bit of form and some questions there that will be very much appreciated so that we can design another webinar series, working with Jodel maybe, and working with the British Council for sure, or maybe iTELL, Jodel, and British Council, and somebody else. So we need this data from you all. And if you fill in, there is appreciations for the best response on that. There are some vouchers provided for our conference, and also there is some small merchandise, 5 tablets for the best answer. So you can take a picture of this, and it will be announced later. So this will go live in our social media for 2 weeks, in the British Council's social media as well, and going to be announced later, 26th of March. So they will start of 19th of March, will finish, start from now, finish in the 19th of March. Then we will announce the winner, 26th of March. Yeah, that's all, everyone, for the announcement that we want to know the impact of this series 1 until series 10. Yeah, thank you very much. It's been a great working with you. That's what I can say. iTELL is always paying attention to teachers. Hopefully what we presented give a meaningful effect on you. I would like to invite Joe to say something about our series and our collaboration. Joe, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Pagjati. Well, to be honest with you, I'm feeling quite emotional actually, because it's been such a fantastic honour and a pleasure to put together this series of webinars, organising all the UK speakers. Everyone was so delighted to be involved, and having such amazing audiences, large audiences, lots of people wanting to ask great questions. It's been a real honour. It's been one of my absolute highlights of my professional career, to be honest with you. So it's been really fantastic, and I would love to put together further series for the audiences. Thank you to everyone coming along. People from Indonesia, obviously, from Vietnam, from Thailand, from South America, from the UK. There's been a lot of support. We've had lots of views as well on the recordings. I look forward to editing this recording and putting up to finalise the playlist. I've shared the playlist in my in the chat as well. So if you haven't seen the link, check it out, or go to my YouTube channel, which is Jodale100, and you'll find the playlist there. So I've organised all the different recordings all into that one playlist, and obviously check out the website as well with all the recordings there. And I'm sure the speakers would love to hear from you. If you have any other questions, a lot of the speakers are on Twitter, and you can get in touch with them as well and ask them some more questions. But it's been a real privilege to work with yourself, Pagjati, to work with the iTELL team. Thank you so much to the British Council in Indonesia as well for making this possible. And we just really hope that you find the content useful, and that you watch the recordings as many times as you need to. You ask questions, and most importantly, you try out the ideas in your classes, because that's what this is all about. It's all about sharing good practice that you can then replicate in your own context and improve teaching and learning for all. That's what this is all about. So thank you so much, Pagjati, for the opportunity, and it's been a pleasure to work with you.
Okay, thank you very much, Joe. And we are learning from all of the teachers, actually. We got a lot of questions. We got a lot of sharing here, sharing and caring. I think that's a great opportunity. And you can always watch the recordings. I think, Vinita, can you put the recordings in the chat box as well, so that people can review that at any time. I would like to invite Mbak Maria from the British Council, because Joe, sorry, Colm cannot really join for today, and Maria is going to say something on behalf of the British Council. But Maria, floor is yours.
Thank you, Pak Jati, and thank you, Joe. Hello, everyone. I'm Maria Arsandi. I'm the program manager of the English team, British Council Indonesia. On behalf of British Council, first of all, I would like to say thank you very, very much to Joe Dale and the entire iTELL team. Thank you very much for developing and delivering such amazing programs throughout the past 5 months, I think. We are incredibly proud to be able to support this series, and we would not be able to do this without the whole team of iTELL and you, Joe. And I would also like to thank all the speakers throughout this series that have shared their amazing knowledge, skills, tips. We are very pleased to have such great lineup of speakers coming from around the world. We believe that all the sharings have been very, very useful for everyone that has been following the series. And most importantly, I would also like to thank everyone who has been following the whole series from across the countries, Indonesia, Thailand, Myanmar, Vietnam, I saw Spain, and many others. Thank you for sharing your weekend to learn together with us. We hope that you enjoy this webinar as much as we do. And we encourage you to keep trying different things that you can take from this webinar to improve your teaching in your classrooms. And we hope that your students can benefit a lot from it. Lastly, I think I would like to invite you to join the scavenger hunt that was announced earlier. This simple and fun challenge, I think, will help you to review all the topics and materials that we delivered in this series and actually help us know how this series has been useful for you in your teaching. And please share it with your colleagues and fellow teachers so there will be more and more teachers who benefit from this series. And the recordings of this series are available on British Council Indonesia's YouTube channel. So please feel free to visit it anytime to refresh your memory or to find new inspirations about techniques or tools that you can try in your classrooms. All right, I think that is it from me. Again, thank you very, very much for Joe, the whole iTELL team, all the speakers, and everyone who's been following this series. We hope to see you next time soon. Thank you. Back to you, Pak Jati and Joe.
Okay, thank you very much, Mbak Maria. So again, if you want to do a review, that's in the British Council channel of YouTube as well, YouTube channel at British Council website. And also you can go to iTELL website. It's going to be directed to a British Council channel. So to make it easier, yeah. Your input and your feedback in the hunt, we are looking forward to have a look at that. And then we might design something, what we can do later after the pandemic and make it deeper and maybe in a different form of collaboration. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Mbak Maria. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for coming, and hopefully to see you later in another program. Thank you, and I need to close the session and give it the screen to Finita to play the video. Fin?